Hello all and welcome, and I am the Realist Philosopher, and this is the Realist Philosopher Show. So how y'all doing today? Hope you're all doing good, fine, and well. So going by the picture on the screen, you can pretty easily guess what this video is going to be about. Now, my last show, well, not my last show, but my second to last show, was about episode number 3. It just really stuck in my craw. What a bad job they did. From the idiocy of putting a bunch of helpless, defenseless women and children in a crypt full of dead people, knowing that the Night King can raise them, and which is exactly what happened, by the way, and half those people got slaughtered. From that to the invincible plot armor that saved Big Fat Pantload Sam and many others from dying when there's no question they should have been dead. There was just too much. Too much for me to ignore. And this episode is the exact same friggin' thing. There's just too much nonsense. And this was at one time one of my favorite shows. Not anymore. Not anymore. They're just doing such a horrible job. It's like these showrunners are going out of their way to do as bad a job as humanly possible. So I feel I need to comment, okay? So let's get right to it, shall we? Okay, so the scene opens up with poor friend-zoned simp man China of the millennia, Jorah, dead. So sad. He died for a woman who didn't and never could love him. At least not in the way he wanted her to. How sad. How very, very sad. And there's Daenerys giving him a kiss on the head. How touching. Thank you, friend-zoned man, for saving my life and getting absolutely nothing in return. You wonderful simp, you. Poor bastard. And then the scene cuts to Sansa, who is leaning over the body of Theon and mourning for him, which I really don't get. I mean, okay, he saved her life there, but he also invaded their home, killed a bunch of her people. Did that really redeem him enough in her eyes for her to be standing over him crying? It's not like they were related in any way, shape, or form. But okay, whatever. And then pan out so you can see all the pyres that are going to be soon lit on fire. So you get an idea, a full grasp of just how much they've lost. I don't know. I thought there'd be more. I thought there'd be more than that. I think there must be some pyres that are not making it into the picture. So, yes, they lost a lot of people. We get it. And there's Jon, all dour and sad, who's done fuck all for this whole season. What did he do last season? Not too much. He did fuck all this season, essentially. Well, what did he do? He rode around on a dragon. The dragon breathed some fire. The dragon clawed at an undead dragon. Yeah, he really didn't do much anything. The Wayman did it all. He just sat on the sidelines, and he rode a dragon. He essentially was along for the ride. So he's all contemplative and dour, and you know what he's going to do as he looks on at all these burial pyres, at all these pyres that are going to get lit on fire. You know what he's going to do, right? He's going to give a speech. Of course, because that's what leaders do, right? The showrunners are predictable in the worst ways, and they're just so predictable. Yeah, this is the kind of predictable I don't like. Yeah. Meanwhile, they try to subvert your expectations at every turn. I don't think they are actually doing anything good. So when they give you what you want or what they think you want, when they're predictable, it's not good. And then when they try to subvert your expectations and think that's going to be good, that sucks too. So he starts talking, and I swear to God, the only thing I hear is meow 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 meow. I shit you not. It's such a cliched speech. Everybody died for a reason. We owe them. They're heroes. Blah 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 blah. I heard a mixture of blah 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 and meow 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 the whole fucking time. It was one of the most cringe-worthy speeches paying homage to the dead that I've ever freaking heard. So he looks over at Dany, and then she looks at him, and you can kind of figure out what's going on in her mind. She's thinking about him being a Targaryen, and what do I do? And it's just so predictable. It's predictable in all the worst ways and unpredictable in all the worst ways. They've literally done nothing. They've literally done nothing good this entire season, really. They've done even the stuff that should be a no-brainer and people should love, they do poorly. Yes, let's have them give each other this long, meaningful look before they light the bodies on fire. Yes, let's have them share this long, meaningful look before they light the bodies on fire. Of course, because that's what people do before they light bodies on fire. Okay, enough. So those who survived, who possess impenetrable plot armor, light the pyres on fire and burn the heroes. Yes, that's a lot of wood. That's a hell of a lot of wood. With all that wood, they could have put spikes, they could have put pitfalls, traps, they could have put barriers in the way of the dead in the form of spikes coming out of the ground. They could have done a lot to slow down the dead who charged at Winterfell. But oh no, they decided to do a cavalry charge instead. All right. I'm gonna stop talking about the last episode. But yeah. Now fast forward to an opening scene of what is essentially a very somber feast. Boy, I'll tell you what, these showrunners, for guys who claim to not like being predictable, they're absurdly predictable. Start off with burning the bodies, a speech paying homage to the dead, and now a somber celebratory feast. They don't live up to their wannabe reputations of usurpers of expectations. But anyway, yes, everybody's eating very quietly to begin with. Not predictable at all. So the first scene we greeted with, it has dialogue after they burn the bodies, is Gendry sitting with the Hound. And he asked the Hound if he's seen Arya. And of course the Hound, in his ever so tactful way, the bodies aren't yet cold and you can't wait to boff her. Yeah. Tactless. I actually like this scene. I found it very amusing how much pleasure he got out of making this kid feel uncomfortable. Anyway, calls Gendry out, and then what happens next? Of course, Gendry goes to find Arya. So as Gendry is leaving the hall, Daenerys spots him and begins talking to him. Gendry, is that right? Gendry Baratheon, your father tried to have me killed. I really hated that fat slob. And Gendry's like, hey, babe, I didn't even know the guy was my dad. You gonna hold me accountable for the sins of my father, for goodness sake? And she's like, nah. In fact, you fought so bravely, I'm gonna give you Storm's End. I'm going to make you a lord. I thought you wanted to break the wheel. This is very interesting. I thought you wanted to break the wheel, get rid of all lords, get rid of all ladies, make everybody, quote unquote, equal, the socialist utopian dream. Oh, but now here she is reinforcing the wheel. I'm going to make this poor, pathetic loser, prior loser, who had nothing, who's just a blacksmith, who has nothing, could never expect to rise to such a high level. I'm going to give him a lordship. And he's going to be so grateful. He's going to be loyal to me forever, even though she's never had a conversation with him and doesn't really know anything about him aside from what Jon might have told her. So, yeah, she thinks this is a clever move, and then she turns to Tyrion and says, you're not the only one that can be clever. Because, you haven't been clever at all, Tyrion. You haven't been clever for years. I made you my hand, and what have you done? You fucked me in the ass. So much so that I was going to replace you when I still might. Yeah. The estrogen is flowing strong in this episode. Anyway, moving on. So he's very grateful. Yeah, thank you, milady, or your grace, whatever. And then he goes to find Arya to tell her the good news and all that. All that being banging. Because we know that's what's on his mind. Meanwhile, Bran and Tyrion have a short conversation where Tyrion essentially says it's great that Bran will be Lord of Winterfell since he knows the history of essentially the whole world. That's such a wonderful thing. And he envies Bran. In reply, Bran says, not going to be Lord of Winterfell. I'll never be Lord of Winterfell. I can't be Lord of Winterfell. And you shouldn't envy me. I mostly live in the past. Now, I thought this was a very interesting scene, and there are not very many noteworthy scenes in this episode, but this is a good one. It's one of very few, by the way. So fast forward a little bit, and Tyrion and his brother and Brienne and Podrick are sitting together, playing a drinking game. Essentially, it's that game where Tyrion guesses something about you, or you will guess something about the other person, and if you're right, they drink, and if you're wrong, or if you're right, they drink. Okay, so it's actually an interesting scene. Tyrion goes on to try and guess some stuff about Brienne, and then he very tactlessly guesses and speaks out loud that she's a virgin, that she's never been with a man. Honestly, very out of character for Tyrion. He's changed a lot over the past few years from what I've seen in the show, and this was kind of like he was regressing back to his old tactless self, who just really, really reveled in making people feel uncomfortable through the use of his wit and perception. And this just didn't strike me as genuine because, again, his character has changed quite a bit within the context of the show. So actually, I didn't like this scene very much at all. But we've seen how a D&D douchebag and bigger douchebag, the showrunners, they seem to enjoy having the characters occasionally delve back into who they had been years ago. Much like they did with Arya. She essentially went back to being this weak, pathetic, can't fight when she just banged her head on a fucking door jamb. And then suddenly she got all her power back when she talked to the Red Woman. When the Red Woman said, "Blue eyes, you're going to snuff out blue eyes." And then she got all her power back. All right. So she runs off, Brienne runs off, and Jaime chases her. I wonder why. They were just talking about sex and virginity, and she ran off, and he follows her. I wonder what's going to happen. Yeah, I wonder. Now, in this next scene, Tormund is going on and on about how great Jon is, that he died, he got killed, he came back to life, and he kept fighting, and did all this wonderful stuff. He's a king. This is a guy I can follow. And Dany, he's just worryingly listening. And you can tell by the look on her face she's concerned. She's concerned. These people, they like him. They love him more than they love me. If they find out that he's Aegon Targaryen, they'll follow him, not me. So already she's becoming very petty, very power hungry. It seems like her concern for the people and doing what's best for the people has completely, utterly disappeared, to be replaced with hunger for power. Could it be she's becoming more and more like her father every day? Could it be that she is starting to embrace becoming a tyrant? No longer is she concerned about what's best for the people. She's more concerned about whether or not she will get power and be able to maintain it. So this is yet more foreshadowing. First, Sansa's concerned about the relationship between Jon and Daenerys, and now Daenerys is showing concern. He could be threatening my position of power, even though he says he doesn't want to be king. They might force him to become king, just like he didn't want to become king of the North, but they made him king of the North. Oh no, this could be a problem. Oh boy, this level of insecurity. Yeah, this doesn't mean anything bad is going to happen. Oh no, this is what I was talking about. These showrunners, they are so predictable in the worst fucking ways. And suddenly, the camera focuses in on her face. She's even more concerned. Then she starts looking around the room, looking at Tyrion, looking at all the people there with concern, with trepidation. And you can tell from the music and the look on her face what she's thinking is, are these people enemies? Could these people be my enemies? Can I count on them to follow me if they ever find out the truth about Jon? Will they throw me aside and embrace him as ruler? Yeah. Meanwhile, there's a very weird scene between Sandor Clegane and Sansa. So this scene right here is going on. Sansa's sitting at the big table. So two girls come over. while Tormund Giantsbane is talking to Clegane, essentially expressing his sorrow that Brienne ran off and Jaime chased her, and he knows what's going to happen, and he's all sad. And then one of these girls comes up to Sandor and says, comes up to Tormund and says, "I'm not afraid of wildlings." And then suddenly he's like, okay, maybe you should be. And he goes off with her, and then this girl tries to pick up Clegane. Big mistake. The moment she touches his hand, he pushes her away. That just shows the solitude of this guy. And then Sansa comes up to him, right? She sits down and they go on to have a conversation, and he tells her how she should have went with him when he left. And then she says, I'm not sorry I didn't go with you, because if I hadn't had all the horrible experiences I had, I'd still be that young, naive, know-nothing little girl. So in a way, she's glad that those horrible experiences happened to her. Yeah, we get it, honey. You're a strong, independent woman that don't need no man, even though that's not really true. And without Jon and a lot of other men, you wouldn't be alive, including Littlefinger. But and the guy you're sitting across from. But hey, whatever, right? I want you to understand, Sandor, how tough I have become. I am Waymon. Hear me roar. I'm getting tired of these scenes interspersed throughout this show. This feminist crap. All right, let's move on. So, cut ahead to the next scene. Yes, that's right, yet more Waymon empowerment. So Gendry finds Arya, and what is she doing? Is she feasting? Is she drinking? No, she's practicing her archery skills, and don't you know, every single arrow found the mark, and the arrow hit the center, and then the next arrow split the arrow before it. She's better than friggin' Robin Hood, don't you know? Oh yeah, baby. All right, so Gendry finds her, gets down on one knee and says, "Baby, I love you, and I'm gonna be Lord of Storm's Den. Will you be my lady?" And of course, Arya says, Nah. You were just a one-night stand for me. Now I'm going to friend zone your ass. Essentially, that's what she says, more or less. I'm not a lady. That's not me. That's not who I am. Bye-bye, booty call. This is getting so tiresome. He didn't even get a bang out of it. He's all liquored up and ready to go, and what is she doing? She's back to cold little Miss Assassin. I'm not interested in booty. I'm not interested in your booty. I'm not going to die anymore, so since death isn't hanging over my head immediately, I'm not really interested in your cock. So she just essentially blows him off. He proposes marriage. She blows him off like the cold, nasty cunt she is. Very reminiscent of today's modern day feminista in the West. Oh, God. Could this show mirror life in the fucking modern West any more than it already is? I watch TV and shows like this to escape reality, not to have it slap me in the fucking face. All right, moving on. So cut ahead to the next scene, and Jaime has ended up in, yes, that's right, Brienne's quarters, and he starts complaining about how hot it is. Oh, it's so hot in here. You got too much wood on the fire. It feels like a sauna in here. So he starts taking his clothes off. She's like, what are you doing? I'm taking my shit off. I'm too hot. And then he starts talking to her about Tormund Giantsbane. Oh, what about Tormund Giantsbane? Do you love him? He was so sad when you left without him. And then Brienne looks at him and says, boy, you sound jealous. And he's like, yeah, I do sound jealous. And then he starts trying to take off his final shirt. And she's like, what are you doing? I'm taking off my shirt because I'm smoking hot. And of course, she thinks he's smoking hot, too. And then he starts to take off her shirt, and she don't stop him. And then they both get naked, and they get down and dirty. Now, I didn't have a problem with this scene, to be honest, like I did the prior one. Female empowerment and all that crap. Brienne has already been established as a strong female character with a lot of masculine traits. It's not something they're trying to artificially push on us for PC purposes. So I don't have a problem with this scene. In fact, I kind of saw it coming. Like I said, the showrunners with all their, I want to subvert expectations, but we're real predictable 99.9% of the time. It's only when it really matters that we stop being predictable. Yeah. Predictability isn't bad, by the way, okay? I mean, it depends on the situation itself. But, predictability can be good, right? I mean, I'm banging abroad, I know what the outcome's going to be, more or less. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, it's predictable, but I don't have a problem with it. Not at all. Meanwhile, somebody perceiving that outcome as some kind of bad thing because it's predictable, that's just stupidity, right? That's just somebody who can't write. That's somebody who can't tell a story well. That's just somebody who wants to, instead of writing a good story, putting a lot of thought into it, instead wants to, well, let's subvert expectations because, that's the new high-quality way of telling a story. No, it's not. And they're there getting it on. And as an aside, let me just add that I don't have a problem, again, I don't have a problem with this thing. I can understand the attraction. Jaime has been on this redemption arc for a while now. He's been trying to be a better man. He's been trying to regain his honor that was stained very early on in his career as a Kingsguard by killing the king that he had sworn to protect. So Brienne has a lot of qualities, a lot of virtues that he can't help but be attracted to, because even though she, as a woman, she's probably the best knight, the most honorable person. Even before she was a knight, she embodied everything that made a knight what they're supposed to be. Everything that he wasn't, but strived to be. So many of the virtues she had are things that he values, respects, admires, and himself wants to be and is trying to be. So people who see these two as being somehow very, very different, and thereby this is some kind of opposites attracting thing, not at all. Not at all. He fell in love with her virtues and vice versa. Because the truth of the matter is, except for Cersei corrupting him, his love for her, his devotion to her, causing him to do horrible things, once he got away from her, once he had some time away from her, once he started actually caring about reclaiming his virtue because of the time he spent with Brienne and the example that she was to him, and that he wanted to be like that, to strive to be that way, and attempted to be so, she fell in love with those same virtues that he was trying to embody, that he had essentially come to admire so much in her. So it was really quite obvious, I think. And it's not physical, really, because she's not an attractive woman. Let's get real. If you read the book, she's hideous. So it's virtue and virtue. They both fall in love with the virtue that the other possesses. So again, I have no problem with this scene whatsoever. So next, Dany goes into Jon's room, starts getting it on with him, and as you can see here, they're no longer kissing. They were kissing before. She talked about how much she loved him and all that, and he pulled away because, he realized, this is my aunt. Even though we're the same age, she is my aunt. So, he's from the north, all right? He wasn't raised a Targaryen. He wasn't raised on stories of prior Targaryens getting married. For Dany, this is completely normal. And who knows, her brother might have gotten it on with her as well. We know from the book and the first season as well that, he saw her naked. He was touching her and all that. Like she was nothing more than an object, which is pretty much how he saw her. So who knows what was going on there. So for her, boffin family, perfectly normal. But for Jon, not so much. He's having problems with it, okay? He's having problems with it. And then, of course, like the spoiled little petulant arrested development child that she is, she starts talking, oh, I'm not happy. I wish you hadn't told me that you were my nephew. I'd be happy right now. Yeah, because denying reality and having it be what you want it to be, that's so much better, right? Yeah, typical Wayman. Then she goes on to say to Jon, you need to not tell anybody else. You need to keep this secret, okay? You can't tell anybody else because I'm so insecure. I'm so doubtful of my own ability to rule that nobody else can find out who you are, because if they know who you are, I can't compete with you. I can't compete with you. You have to lie to everyone and knock yourself down several pegs so I'll always be above you. Is this sounding familiar? Is this sounding familiar to anybody out there? We want equality. We have to hold men back so we can compete because we really can't compete. Yeah. And of course, Jon gets upset. He's like, I can't lie. I'm not going to lie for you. Sansa and Arya, they're still my family. I have to tell them. And then she tells him, you can't tell them, because if you tell them, then they'll tell other people, and then the word will spread, because, they might say they won't tell anybody, but Wayman are gossip mongers, don't you know? I ought to know, I'm one of them. So you can't tell anybody, she tells him. And I don't believe that he promises either way. I think she just hopes that he'll keep that secret to himself. Yeah. Isn't she great? Isn't this broad great? It seems like she cares more. In fact, it doesn't seem like it. She does. She cares more about gaining control of the country and sitting on the Iron Throne than she does about Jon. Meanwhile, Jon, he's like, I don't want it. I don't want it. And she's like, yeah, I don't care. I don't care if you don't want it. If people find out who you are, they'll make you be king. I saw those people in the Great Hall. They were telling stories about you and how great you were. You rode a dragon and you came back from the dead and you kept fighting. They want you as king. If they know your lineage, I'll never be queen because that's all I care about. Yeah, she really loves him. My ass. Now, the next scene, they are having a tactical meeting talking about their next plans. What are they going to do next? It opens up with Grey Worm talking about how half of all their Unsullied are gone, in addition to all of the Dothraki, and half of the Northmen also are gone. Well, left. So what was left over after the battle, half of those people left, went home. Bye-bye. So she's lost a lot of support. Varys goes on to say, though, that don't despair. Prince of Dorne has vowed to support us. Yara Greyjoy has taken back the Iron Islands, whatever that's good for. Maybe she'll be able to magically conjure up another 1,000 ships the same way that Euron did. An island with no trees. But I can make 1,000 ships in the same amount of time it takes to snap my finger. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But Dany's not too happy about hearing this. She wants to win now. That's all good and fine. Yeah, but I want to be queen now. And Varys says, she's losing support every day. Why don't we just wait her out? We'll just wait her out, and eventually she'll have zero support, and then she won't really have much choice. Now! Now! I want the kingdom now! They're trying to essentially counsel her to be prudent, but want to be Queen Daenerys? Oh, no. No. I must be queen now as long as she sits on the throne in King's Landing. Be damned with everything else. I must be on that throne now. Okay. However, every single one of her advisors counsels caution. So she relents. It's like, okay. We'll surround the city. We'll surround King's Landing, and then they can't get any food. And then they'll toss aside Cersei, the people, that is, without me having to really do very much. So, yeah, she gives in a little bit. And then Sansa, let's create some more tension between the Waymen. Your Grace, our people are all tired. Many of them are wounded. We need more time. We need to rest. We don't need to march south immediately, right? And Daenerys is just like, well, how many days do you need? How much time do you need? At least a fortnight. And then Daenerys gets all pissed off, like the little spoiled brat child she really is, used to always getting her way. I came north to fight for you at great personal cost to me and my army, and now you want to sit on your ass and do nothing? I don't understand. The only reason people follow this broad, I think, is because she's got dragons, and because she seems to be fireproof. And by the way, is Jon fireproof? I'm curious. This would be very interesting. You know what would have been really good? If Daenerys tested him, like grabbed his hand and put it in fire. I doubt he's ever put his hand in fire. I mean, how many people have put their hands in fire? Nobody, right? Have any of you out there put your hands in fire? Nah, because it'll burn your fucking hand, right? I would like to see if he can be burned. Does he have the same kind of immunity to fire that she does? That'd be absolute proof. That would have been a great scene to put in here, by the way. Of course, the showrunners are too fucking dumb to think of something like that. But it seems like the only reason people fucking follow this bitch is because she seems to be immune to fire. Like the Night King. Woo-hoo-hoo, wow. And she had some dragons, right? She got lucky with some fucking dragons. She walked into a fire, which she was immune to, and somehow the fire caused the dragons to hatch, or something to do with the blood magic, or all the sacrifices she had made for Khal Drogo, whatever. That's it! I have 3 dragons, and I'm immune to fire. Follow me! Yeah, okay. It seems like her saving grace is she's not a fucking nut job. That's it. She's not a nut job, and people will follow her because they're a bunch of superstitious cunts. I never liked this broad. I do not see the fucking attraction. Well, I see the physical attraction, even though she's a little hippie for me, a little chunky, I think. But yeah, she's a good-looking broad, got a few dragons, immune to fire. What about her charisma? What about her leadership skills? Not that great. Tyrion would make a better ruler, to be totally honest. He'd make a much better ruler, but of course, he's a dwarf, so we're not going to follow a dwarf, no matter how good a leader he would make, but she's hot. I just don't get it. I don't get it with this broad. Anyhow, Daenerys finishes her little tantrum about how she's lost so much. The North didn't lose nothing. I lost so much. I'm so egocentric. And then bitch boy Jon jumps in and says, you know what? The North will honor their pledges and loyalty to you. We'll be marching south soon to help you. What a wimp. What a wimp. And then Sansa and Arya are looking at him like he's betrayed him somehow. Oy vey. All right, so next scene we have Jon, Sansa, Bran, and Arya in the grove where Arya killed the Night King. And he's debating whether or not he's going to tell them about his true lineage. And then Bran says, it's your choice. And of course, Arya and Sansa would be like, what's your choice? And they would never stop egging him on to know what the fucking truth was, what he wanted to tell them, even if he said, no, I can't tell you. So of course he has to tell them now. Brilliant job there, Bran. So he tells them about his lineage, and then it cuts scene. The scene cuts out. This would have, I don't understand this. These showrunners are morons. This scene would have actually helped this episode a lot. Seeing him, it seems like they cut the best fucking scenes. Like when Arya fought the waif. Well, let's cut that out. Let's have her fight in darkness. We won't see that. And we'll even cut out the darkness in the scene itself. We won't even hear it. And now with this, they find out the truth about him. They find out he's a Targaryen, a secret Targaryen. The child of Lyanna Stark and Rhaegar Targaryen. That would have been a great scene. That would have helped this show a lot. But this would have helped this episode a hell of a lot. But did they include it? Nah. Why? I don't know. We have no problem with filler. Lots and lots of toilet paper in this fucking show. Lots of filler. But we can't include a scene which would actually help redeem this episode some. Because, meh, too predictable. God damn it. Yeah, because any kind of predictability is bad, right? I hate these fucking showrunners. They are morons. So anyway, he tells them the truth. We don't get to see their reaction. But he does tell them to keep it a secret, right? You can't tell anybody. He tells two women, two very young women, Sansa and Arya, who's like 18, and Sansa's like 20 or something. Could you keep my secret, women? Even though women are incapable of keeping juicy gossip to themselves. But they say, sure, I'll keep the secret. Yeah, what do you think the odds are that they kept that secret, huh? Huh? So cut ahead to this next scene where Tyrion and his brother Jaime are in an inn. I guess the town outside of Winterfell Castle, drinking some ale, and in comes, guess who? Bronn with, you guessed it, the crossbow that Tyrion used to kill his father. And he starts threatening them, and when Tyrion says, meh, you're not a threat, you're not going to hurt us, he punches Tyrion in the nose, breaks his freaking nose. Well, maybe he doesn't break it, but makes it bleed. Then he threatens them, then they question whether or not he'd actually follow through, and in response he shoots a crossbow bolt an inch to the left. Was it the left or right? I don't know. I think it was the right. Anyway, of Jaime Lannister's head, and it gets buried in a beam, and then somehow he reloads this crossbow so fast, it would be like pulling the trigger on a gun. I don't know how the fuck that works, but he's got it reloaded and pointed at him again. And he threatens Jaime, hey, you got one hand, and it's a crappy hand, you can't fight me. And then he goes on to remind Tyrion that, hey, buddy, remember that you made that promise to me that if somebody ever offered me money to kill you, that you would double it? And Tyrion's like, yeah, I remember. What do you want? He's like, I want more than your sister offered me. She offered me River Run. I want better. So Tyrion offers him Highgarden, and he gets silent and says, okay, I won't kill the two of you if you give me Highgarden, all right? Because, I think that your queen will win. I think that Daenerys will probably still win. The odds seem a little more balanced now. Yeah, you lost a lot of Dothraki. Yeah, you lost some Unsullied, but you still got two dragons. You still got plenty of fighters. You've got other allies that'll come to your call. So, yeah, I think I'm betting on the right side, and then he leaves. This is a total throwaway scene. Total throwaway scene. By the way, I'm tired of seeing Bronn. Who is this fucking guy? He's just some fucking mercenary. He could be some total stranger shows up with a crossbow. Hey, give me money. This fucking guy, he keeps showing up in all the episodes. He's so fucking boring. He's so predictable. This is so predictable. Everybody saw this scene coming a mile away. Again, Why do you usurp expectations, showrunners, by not having this pinhead show up? Oh no, we don't want to subvert expectations in that manner. We just want to subvert expectations in regards to the scenes that mean the most. Of course. Of course! Yeah, the scenes that would ruin the show, essentially. I see. All right, moving on. Okay, so cut to the next scene, and of course we have Sandor Clegane going down to King's Landing. Of course, it'll only take him 2 days, even though it's supposed to be, 1,000 leagues, 3,000 miles? The way these people can teleport all over the fucking map is astonishing to me. They got some pretty fast fucking horses. Seems like they're walking at a very slow pace there, but tomorrow morning, he'll be in King's Landing. And of course, he's joined by Arya, and of course, we're going to have Clegane Bowl, right? She joins him on the road, and he's like, fuck, what do you want? I'm going to King's Landing. Oh, so am I. She's like, why are you going to King's Landing? That's my business. Of course, we know why he's going there, to kill his brother. So we're going to get Clegane Bowl, of course. Some more fan service there. Yeah. As if his brother isn't already in bad enough straits. The mountain is some undead, big, shambling mound. He's got to be destroyed completely, and that's why I'm going down there. What about you, Arya? No, that's my business. And of course, we know why she's going down there. She's a faceless man, Waymond. She's gonna kill the queen. I wouldn't be surprised. First, she kills the fucking Night's King. And now they're probably gonna have her kill the queen, too. I wouldn't be surprised. Again, I would not be surprised. Although, honestly, I have my own ideas, which I'll get to a little later, as to who I think will kill her. But it really wouldn't surprise me if they had her do it as well, because, Waymond power. This wasn't predictable. Oh, no. I knew that at some point these two would be going to King's Landing together, and they'll probably do some fighting in the next episode, probably some highwaymen. And then the Sandor Clegane, the Hound, he'll get to see just how tough Arya is as she slays brigands left and right. Ooh, now you are a real slayer. Yeah, that's right, bitch. Don't you forget it. Because all these men have to be impressed by how tough these Waymond are. Yeah, you're so tough. Why do you feel the need to fucking brag about it and point it out so much, ladies? All right, next we have Dany going to check out her dragons to see if they're okay. I believe Rhaegar is the one on the right. He got wounded pretty badly, or at least I thought pretty badly, by the Night King's dragon. Was it Viserion, the undead Viserion? I wasn't sure if he actually survived. Remember the last episode? We saw him crash to the ground, and Jon got thrown off, and we weren't sure whether he survived or not. Well, yep, he survived, and now we have them here with the obligatory scene of all the bones scattered about of all the animals they've just eaten, of course. Very predictable. But the showrunners, they hate predictability, and yet it seems like almost everything they do is predictable, except the stuff that would actually be served by some predictability. Anyway, this scene is here to let us know that her dragons are alive and well, and they can fly, and she's going to be flying them somewhere, don't you know? And there goes Rhaegar flying off into the air, so now we know that he's well enough to travel. Something that will be very important in just a bit. So here we have Tyrion talking to Sansa, and he can see that she really doesn't like Dany. In fact, he tells her she seems determined to dislike Daenerys. And Tyrion goes on to point out that it seems like you are invested in antagonizing this woman and creating friction, and that doesn't serve anybody. She's your queen as well as my queen and Jon's queen. Nothing's going to change that fact, so far as Tyrion knows anyway. So why make the situation, why make the relationship uncomfortable? To which Sansa, she takes just a short moment to contemplate something, and then she says to Tyrion, well, what if there was somebody better? What if there was another option, Tyrion? What if that option was better than Daenerys? So she was able to keep the secret for how long? Half an hour? 10 minutes? But of course, they cut away from that as well. All the most interesting scenes you don't see. You don't see Jon telling Arya and Sansa about his real lineage. You don't see Sansa revealing the truth to Tyrion. Where did these showrunners learn to write? Oh my God! So the next scene is Jon leaving Winterfell. And he asks Tormund to take his dog with him. dire wolf, because a dire wolf doesn't belong in the south. And Tormund's like, sure, okay, when this winter ends, which could be 5 years, could be 10 years, when I return north of the wall, because this isn't the real north and I'm not comfortable here. I want to freeze my balls up off even further north than we already are. Sure, then I'll take the dire wolf with me. We're feasted to the sight of Sam and one of Craster's wives, Gilly essentially, who's now pregnant with Sam's kid, because as Sam says, man, there's not a lot to do. There's not a lot to do in the north, except bang. Read whatever books I brought with me from the Citadel and bang this broad, because, you know, my Night's Watch vows no longer mean anything since the wall is gone and the Night King is dead, so I'm going to bang her as much as possible. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we need to know now that Sam's a real man, right? We need to know. He knocked her up and he fought and killed whites and all that during the supposed long night. Yeah, that was over by dawn. Yeah, that's some long night. And the Night King killed by a little girl. Yeah, wow. What an anticlimactic event that was. Yeah. So anyhow, as I said, right after he talks to Sam, and Sam tells him he knocked up Gilly, he looks over longingly at Wolf. At his wolf. Ghost, is it? Yeah, Ghost. And as you can see, Ghost is all fucked up, missing a part of an ear. He's got wounds all over him, but he survived. He's looking longingly at Jon. Jon, take me with you, Jon. I love you. And Jon just leaves. He looks at Ghost for a bit, but doesn't even go over, doesn't even pet him. You could surmise that he didn't want to encourage Wolf to follow him, the wolf, Ghost. So that's why he didn't go over and pet him, but that's kind of cold. That's kind of fucking cold. Maybe the part of him that gave a shit got left behind in the ether when he died. You know, they talk about when you bring somebody back, a little bit of them gets left behind. Well, maybe the part that gave a shit about this dog, direwolf, whatever, got left behind when he was brought back. I don't know, but anyway, this is some pretty cold shit. Moving on. Next, we have Grey Worm and Missandei on what few remaining ships Daenerys has. They're both smiling and holding hands. I never got this, by the way. You do know he doesn't have a cock, okay? At least as far as I understand. Maybe it was just his balls they cut off, but whatever. Even if there's still a tiny little swizzle stick down there, it can't get hard. What's the attraction? I mean, I guess I see the attraction, and I guess, you know, she can get off at least. He could go down on her, but, you know, her going down on him wouldn't do anything for him. So what exactly is what's the appeal here? You know, she's got to be wanting some penetration. And what if she wants kids? Nah, no kids. I don't get it. I don't get it. She ought to have some higher standards than this. How's she going to live her whole life without being able to have sex? That's right, that's true. Again, he can go down on her. Yeah, women love that, of course. They don't like to reciprocate too much in return, but they love it being done to them. But anyway, yeah, I never got this relationship. But anyway... And on that same ship, we have Tyrion telling Varys the truth about Jon. Of course, Sansa couldn't keep a secret, even though she gave her word, because Waymen, well, they don't know what it means to keep their word. Honor is not in their vocabulary. Yes, but we want them running the world. I don't think so. So they have a little back and forth conversation about how many people know, and he says 8, and then Varys replies, well, it's no longer a secret then, is it? They're having this clandestine little meeting, talking about options. Maybe they could rule together. Maybe Jon and Daenerys could get married, be king and queen, and have equal authority and power. But Tyrion is like, that's a good idea. And then Varys is like, she didn't like to have her authority questioned. She won't go for that. She will not go for that. Interesting. So interesting. She cares about the people. And she supposedly cares about Jon. But she doesn't want in any way, shape, or form give him equal authority with her. But hey, women are all about equality, right? Until it comes to them having to give something up. Then, no way, Jose. So, yeah, they continue discussing their options and, you know, don't really come to any concrete conclusions at this point as to what to do. So, before heading directly to King's Landing, they stop off at Dragonstone to reconnoiter, resupply, and there's Dany's 2 dragons. And there's the dragon, Rhaegar, that does not have Jon on the back. No, Jon is riding with the other northerners who were going on horseback because, in his own words, Rhaegar was wounded, and he doesn't want to add to the burden of Rhaegar's journey south. So Jon is not on Rhaegar. Convenient, I might add, because of what happens next. And of course, you know what's going to happen next, don't you, people? Yes, that's what happens next. He gets a big fucking spear to the chest. And another one through the throat. And Rhaegar falls, and goes splat. Predictable. Of course I saw this coming. We all saw it coming because, you know, the show needs to save money, don't you know? They spent so much cheddar on that battle for Winterfell in the last episode, the battle you couldn't see because it was so damn dark. At least I can say that for this episode. At least you can see what's happening. And where did those bolts come from? Why, they came from Euron Greyjoy's fleet. A fleet that somehow Daenerys, who's flying around in the air on some dragons, failed to see approaching. It's very interesting. You're flying up high in the sky, but you can't see anything on the ground. And when it's huge, gigantic ships with giant fucking crossbows on the front. Apparently, Qyburn improved these scorpions. They're much more powerful than the ones we saw back in season 7 when she attacked the Lannister caravan. So Dany, like the tactical genius / petulant child that she is, decides, you know what? These brilliant marksmen who just put 3 bolts in my fucking dragon from God knows how far away and have God knows how many of these fucking scorpion crossbows the size of my dragon, instead of running away, I'm just going to charge at him head on. Because, you know, that'll get me killed faster than anything else. So the little girl on the back of the dragon, she charges at all these ships with all of these scorpion crossbows mounted on the front. Not sure why she didn't just attack them from behind. Their sails would block their visibility. Even if those crossbows could rotate 300 degrees, it would be very difficult to turn them around and shoot with the sails in the way of their visibility, and then they have to lower all their sails, and before they did, she could burn them. But hey, you know, logic, reason, they have no place in this world which has no internal consistency as far as rules and physics and logic or anything. So she charges, and somehow these brilliant archers who were able to shoot a dragon, okay, that wasn't charging straight at them, but crossing their view, not coming straight at them, they were able to hit that fucking thing with 3 bolts. Boom, boom, boom. They didn't miss at all. But somehow she charges straight at them. They miss. All these ships, none of them can fucking hit her. And they continue firing bolts. I don't know how they're reloading. I mean, remember how long it took Braun to reload that fucking thing? Well, these are even bigger. And it takes even more manpower to reload them. To fucking cock these sons of bitches. But somehow these scorpions have become automatic submachine gun-like fucking weapons. They all miss, and Dany decides, I got lucky there, so I better run away. So she turns tail and runs, which she should have done to begin with. Wow, she's got some amazing plot armor. She's got some amazing fucking plot armor. Her dragon, the other dragon, boom, dead, gone, goodbye. But she somehow survives a head-on fucking dive with not just 3 bolts coming at her, but fucking a dozen at least. And they're reloading and firing a second time somehow in the span of her completing that charge, not even completing it. Interesting. So once Daenerys is out of range, finally got some sense into her head and realized even with the plot armor that the showrunners are giving me, there's no way I'll continue to survive. Euron, he gets it into his head, you know what? These are some pretty powerful crossbows. Maybe I should be shooting at the enemy ships. So he starts shooting at them, and somehow these fucking bows are able to do what cannons can't. They go through these ships like they were made of paper. All these crossbow bolts going in one end, out the other. Now, this is thick wood, okay? It's thick wood, but you would think it was paper. And they're just blowing these ships to fucking pieces. Cannons can't even do this kind of damage. But hey, let's suspend logic and reason and believe that a weapon that you have to cock by hand is somehow going to have more power than a fucking giant cannon with gunpowder and explosions fucking bellowing out giant steel balls. Yeah, let's just imagine the crossbows are more powerful. Yeah. So fast forward a bit, Tyrion and everybody else jumped off the ships and into the water because, Euron was able to sink all of their ships with these crossbows. Yeah, those are some powerful crossbows, huh? And then Grey Worm is looking around. Where's Miss Sandy? Where's my girl who I can't bang? Where is she? Well, apparently she didn't make it to shore along with everybody else. And it turns out she got captured by Cersei's forces, by Euron. Okay, so after all those ships got sunk by crossbows that have more power than cannons, apparently, they have a meeting. Varys and Tyrion and Grey Worm and Daenerys. And Daenerys says, you know what? I'm going to just take my remaining dragon and all the forces I have left on foot, and I'm just going to invade, and I'm going to slaughter every motherfucker in that city, and I'm going to burn the Red Keep to the ground, and I'm going to kill tens of thousands of innocent people. Even though I said I wouldn't do that, and I didn't want to be Queen of the Ashes, but now, my best friend, my best advisor, my best pal has been kidnapped and taken by Cersei. He's probably already dead, so, yeah, I'm going to kill 30, 40,000 innocent people, maybe more. Why not? Yeah. You see where all this is going, right? And Varys is like, Queen, remember you told me if I was ever doubting you, if I thought you were making a mistake, that you want me to tell you. Well, I think you're making a mistake, Daenerys. I don't think you should invade King's Landing and kill so many people and take your final dragon and burn the keep to the ground and kill all those innocent people. I really think that would be a bad idea. Because you wouldn't be any different than your father if you did that. And then Dany goes into this speech about how she has destiny. She has a destiny, and her destiny is to be queen because, dragons and fire immunity. So if it's my destiny to be queen, I need to burn a bunch of innocent motherfuckers to get there. And he begs and he pleads, and so does Tyrion. Hey, at least talk to Daenerys. Talk to Cersei first. Talk to Cersei. Try to convince her to surrender. And Daenerys is like, well, I'm going to burn these motherfuckers. But I don't want it to be said that I didn't exhaust every avenue to reach a peaceful resolution. Okay? So, yeah, we'll talk to Daenerys, all right? But if she doesn't surrender, I'm going to burn all them mofos, including the innocent people. Because I'm a wonderful, just ruler who's nothing like my wacko father. So after that meeting, Cue Ball sits down with the imp, and they discuss possible treason. Varys expresses his concerns and says, I'm for the people. Okay? If I think that Daenerys is not for the people, that she's somehow changed, that she's become an evil tyrant that means to slaughter the people en masse, I can't support her anymore. Now, Varys, of course, he made it very clear from the get-go that his loyalty wasn't to a ruler, that it was to the people. And he never at any point said that he was loyal directly to Daenerys. His loyalty is to the people, and he will do everything he can to put Daenerys in power so long as her interests align with his. All right, but if she ever goes against the people, he made it very clear that he wouldn't be with her anymore. And then she threatened, okay, if you ever betray me, I'll lop your fucking head off. We can see where this is going. This is all just, it's like I'm watching a soap opera here. If some music chimed in, like from some of those crappy 70s, early 80s soap operas where they fade out and you've got that, melancholy music, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. So he's telling Tyrion, look, all right, I don't really have any other choice. I'm going to do something about this. If she goes too far and, starts burning people, or it looks like she's going to slaughter a bunch of people, I'm going to have to act. I'm going to have to do something. And Tyrion's like, don't do anything. Don't do anything. Tyrion wants to continue to believe in Daenerys, obviously, while, Varys not so much. He already sees where this is going, and he has plans to essentially, I think, get rid of her. She's kind of making clear without going into so many words. He has plans to get rid of her if she goes full daddy and starts burning innocent people. So fast forward back to the north, and Jaime, who had planned to stay with Brienne, is now returning to King's Landing upon finding out that Daenerys' dragons, one of them got killed, and finding out that Daenerys is probably going to storm the city and burn everybody, including his sister, alive. So he's got to go back to be with her. Now I know a lot of people are thinking, nah, he's going back to kill her, maybe to kill her, which is quite possible. It is possible that he's the one that kills Cersei. It would be kind of like poetic justice, wouldn't it? Because he slayed the first king because he went mad and he needed to go. So maybe he kills his sister Cersei as well. Oh, but that would be too predictable. I mean, it would be great. That would be the perfect end. That would be the perfect death for her. It would all fit together quite nicely. But of course, that's not going to happen because too predictable. In anything that's really important in this show, we're not going to be at all predictable. We got to usurp your expectations. But we'll be predictable about everything else. Yeah, okay. So he's going back to King's Landing, to be with his sister. And Brienne tells him, I know you're a good man. I know you're a good man. Don't leave me. And Jaime replies, nah, I'm not a good guy. I pushed a kid out a window. I've done horrible, evil things. I killed my cousin to escape captivity so I could get back to my sister. I would have killed 1,000,000 people to get back to her. I'm horrible. I'm evil. I'm not the man you think I am. Brienne. So essentially, this pussy, this pathetic loser, this fucking guy, they totally just, they've destroyed his character. I mean, one of the characters they've done the most horrific things to is Jaime. He's had this wonderful redemption arc, and now they're just totally regressing him back to a point where he's just an evil, horrible, bad guy, lapdog to his sister, no matter how many evil, horrible things she does to him. Jesus Christ, she sent Braun south to kill him, and now this pathetic loser is running back to her like some whipped fucking dog. Pathetic. And of course, here you have Brienne begging him to stay with her. He tells her how horrible and evil he is, and then she wails. Like a Wayman! But they're so strong. Anyhow, moving on. So here we have King's Landing. And Daenerys and Tyrion outside the walls with what looks like a very small detachment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe, 50? Unsullied or something like that? That's not too many. That's not too many. And Cersei, of course, has no honor. So they're all on the walls with bows and scorpions, and you can see the dragon in the background there, right? Sitting on the ground. How stupid is this? So Daenerys just went there to parley with Cersei and try to convince her to surrender, to at least be able to say that she exhausted all possible routes to a peaceful resolution of the situation before she burns everybody to death, including the innocent people. So look at how close they are to the walls. Look at all those archers up on the fucking walls. Cersei could kill them all. I don't understand this. Why didn't Cersei just kill them? Why didn't she kill them? I mean, look at those tiny little fucking shields that the Unsullied have. Those little tiny shields couldn't stop a goddamn thing. It leaves so much of their body open. Just kill him. Just shoot him. Again, she has no honor. Cersei's not an honorable person. She's just like her father. Just like her father, Tywin. Remember the Red Wedding? Remember what he said to Tyrion? You tell me how it's more honorable to kill 10,000 men on the battlefield than 10 at dinner. She's her father's daughter. She should be peppering him with fucking arrows. That dragon that's in the background that's way too close. He's sitting on the ground. Look at all those scorpions on the wall. Why don't they just shoot the fucking dragon from there and then pepper fucking Daenerys and her fucking Unsullied with arrows? Why not just do that? Game over, bitches. Oh no, there's no consistency in this world. Daenerys has no honor. She doesn't honor her word. She can't be trusted. But for some reason, the perfect opportunity to get rid of the Dragon Queen, and the last dragon presents itself. And what does she do? Nothing. Nothing at all. God. Anyway, gate opens up. Out comes Qyburn in her hand, and Tyrion walks forward. Probably two of the most clever men in the show. It's not a bad scene, actually. You know, they verbally spar a little back and forth, discuss options. At which point, Tyrion sees he's not getting anywhere, so having learned nothing up until this point, he decides, hey, maybe I can convince Big Sister by talking to her directly. So what does Tyrion do? Genius that he is, that has now been reduced to a moron by the showrunners. Well, he decides to walk forward away from his parley with Qyburn and speak directly to Cersei. Of course. He walks right up to the wall, all these bowmen pointing arrows at him, and I don't know why she just didn't shoot him. I don't know why she just didn't have Tyrion shot. I mean, hey, maybe I can provoke the Dragon Queen and her 50 little nothing warriors with no siege equipment to charge forward and try to maybe fill their spears or some shit, or maybe to get her to jump on her dragon. Nothing would have antagonized her more. Because, she is a creature who is essentially beholden to her emotions, that being Daenerys, as we've seen. So the best thing that Cersei could have done right here was to pepper Tyrion with fucking arrows. But what did she do? Nothing. Of course, she could have had the dragon shot, too. It's sitting way in the distance. There's like 24 fucking scorpion crossbows within range of that fucking dragon. And dragons, they're not too agile on the ground. It takes them a while to get into the air. That dragon's a sitting duck. Doesn't shoot the dragon, doesn't shoot Tyrion either to maybe provoke a reaction from Daenerys. Oh no, nah. She just calmly stands there and waits for him to approach and speak his mind. Makes no sense whatsoever if you know anything about Cersei's character. But hey, it plays to the storyline, right? So Tyrion, the genius that he is, he tries to pander to his sister's emotions, her love for her children. He tries to, as only a brother could, get through to his sister. Hey, you got a baby in your belly. You want that baby to survive, right? If you give up the throne, we'll let you live. We'll let you flee. Of course, she doesn't believe it, right? Because she wouldn't let Daenerys do anything of the sort if the tables were turned. So, of course, she figures if she gives up, she's going to die. And I don't think it would make any difference anyway. She doesn't want to give up power, and she figures she's got a pretty good chance of winning this war. So what does she do in response to Tyrion trying to convince her to give up? Why, she walks over to Missandei, who's standing at the edge of the wall. And Cersei walks up to her and grabs her arm, at which point, I don't know why Missandei just didn't grab her in return and jump off the wall. That's what I would have done. That's what I would have done. I would have leaped off that fucking wall and taken Cersei with me. And there ain't any of her guards close enough to stop Missandei from doing that. But what does Missandei do? What does Missandei do when the queen asks her, do you have any last words? Well, she yells, Dracarys! Which is the Valyrian word for fire. That's what Daenerys says to her dragons when she wants them to burn some shit. Dracarys! Yeah, compassionate Missandei, who's always counseling moderation and caution. Dracarys! Burn all these bitches! No consistency with any of these characters. So the mountain standing behind her draws his sword and off with her fucking head. And she falls from the wall because she's so close to the edge, as is Cersei. But it never occurred to her, well, I'm going to die anyway, so I might as well leap off and take the queen with me and solve all our problems. No, because then you wouldn't get to have a big fight, and then you wouldn't get to have a big reveal of who's going to kill Cersei. Yeah. And upon seeing her longtime friend and closest, if not wisest, advisor get her head lopped off and fall 50 feet headless to the ground, she gets pissed off and walks back toward her dragon that's just sitting there on the ground. So, of course, next episode, we're probably going to have it open with Daenerys hopping on her dragon, being allowed to get into the air, where she's much more difficult to hit with one of these scorpions, which, again, seem to be more powerful than cannons, and she may or may not attack and burn King's Landing to the ground. And that's it for this episode. So I gotta say, I was very disappointed by this episode. For one thing, they need to get some fucking armor for these dragons, right? I mean, you saw Drogon in the last episode take off with looked like about a fucking 1,000 undead holding on to him with their weapons stuck in his skin, enabling them to hold on. So apparently, he can fly with a lot of weight on him, thousands of pounds, apparently. Tens of thousands of pounds. So, I guess there's some magic involved. I don't know. So, why can't they make fucking armor for these guys? They've already encountered scorpions, which did wound him, okay? So, did it ever occur to them to make armor for these dragons? Oh, no. No armor at all. And what about Daenerys? No armor. She's got arrows flying past her head, left, right. I'm not going to wear armor. I'm just going to wear this nice, fashionable white gown. You like it? With all the intrigue and the soap opera-ish fucking dialogue, the cringy speech at the start, all the filler, with nothing really happening, and Jon doing very little, being nothing more than a lapdog for Daenerys, and Daenerys seemingly turning nuts Before she supposedly cared about the people, now she's becoming nothing more than an authoritarian tyrant who has no problem with burning people to death. Innocent people. I'm just gonna burn out the city so I can get to fucking Cersei, because, you know, she killed one person I cared about. But we're supposed to think she's gonna make a good queen. I talk about a fucking 180, for that matter. Ay. This show's going off the rail. Talk about fucking jumping the shark. Jesus fucking Christ. Let me know what you think. Has this show gone off the rail? Did it go off the rails a long time ago? Like back in season 5 and 6 and 7? How about that horrible season with the Arya at the House of the Faceless Men? Oh, God. Let me know what you think in the comments section. And please like and subscribe to my channel. I don't generally make videos like this about TV shows, but it's one of my favorite shows, and I felt a need to comment upon a lot of the inconsistencies and plot holes and the plot armor and just a lot of people acting completely out of character. And what about what they did to Jaime? Totally destroyed his character. You got a wonderful redemption arc there, and now it's shot to fucking hell, or at least it seems to be. And they only got 2 episodes left. 2 episodes left to close out this entire fucking story. Are you kidding me? We waited 2 years for this? Get the fuck out of here. This is a travesty. Travesty. And that's it.